Welcome to the special edition of Markets Today. The CEO of the CEO and founder of Serba Dinamik, Datuk Karim Abdullah, joins me today. Later in the show, my colleague Rizal Zulkapli will also join me in this show to discuss the oil and gas sectoral outlook for this quarter. But before we do that, just a quick reminder that you can stream this show online at astraawani.com/markets. But before we go on, Dato', thank you for joining me on this show. It's a very remarkable share price movement for Serba Dinamik. Yesterday it closed at 1.83. This is a considerable move, change up basically of 1.67% from about 167 or 165 cents. And because of this change in the past 2 days or so, perhaps I can attribute it because of the contracts that was awarded. In fact, there was a combined value of about 469 million ringgit worth of contracts. Would you care to comment a little bit about the contract award and what this means to Serba Dinamik?
Firstly, Ibrahim, thank you very much for having me here. Back to the statements that we have made, yes, we have secured new contracts, and this is what I would say is contributed from a recognition of our track records and our capability to perform in quite a number of other similar contracts of this nature.
Okay, with regard to these contracts, right, a lot of people are asking me, analysts in particular, is Serba Dinamik an oil and gas company? I argue, that's part of what they do, but they can't necessarily be defined by that. And I would like to argue that perhaps you could be defined as what they call an MRO, or Maintenance, Repair and Overhaul Company. Would you care to comment on the concept of MRO versus, say, oil and gas?
I think we have defined quite clearly in our prospectus that our core competency and the core revenue driver of the company or the group is coming from operations and maintenance. And under the big topic of the operations and maintenance, that is where it breaks it down into maintenance, repair, overhaul, or MRO for rotating equipments.
Okay.
Whereas for the static portion, we use the terminology inspection, repair, maintenance.
It's basically an engineering firm.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, and of course, oil and gas is just one of the many sectors that you service. Are there any other sectors that you're operating in?
Sure. I mean, in any operating plants, they will need these MRO capabilities. I give you an example, like other industry which are very close and which we are putting a lot of efforts on are the power generation industry.
Okay.
And then at the same time, we are also looking into the water treatment sewerage industry also, which these capabilities of MRO is strongly needed in ensuring the equipment will be running in a healthy manner.
So these are three core sectors they're operating in. It has been, close to the day, 2 months after being listed. Serba Dinamik was one of the first companies to be listed. Not one of the first, is the first company to be listed this year. Are there any other sectors that you're clearly looking at post-IPO to enter?
Traditionally, and based on the reference of the track record, of course, we are quite known in the oil and gas industry. Mm-hmm. But again, the drop in the oil and gas industry globally has also taught us very expensive lessons that the dependence on one sector will jeopardize the sustainability of the entire company operations. So that is why for the past few years, we have been trying to position ourselves into the power generation. And recently, we have looked into the water treatment industry in a very big way.
Do you think that there is, because power generation is a stable industry to be in, I would like to just maybe argue on that one, but perhaps do you think that there is an opportunity for looking into new areas within the energy sector, including renewables? Is that something that would be of interest to your company?
Sure. I mean, most of the power generations industry that we are looking into are along the direction of clean technology. Mm-hmm. For example, like the hydropower plants that we have been pursuing and which we have been developing, constructing, and very soon will be producing. These are clean technology. Mm-hmm. And making a comparison also of others is gas-powered plant, which is cleaner as compared to coal-fired power plant. Mm-hmm. So our interest and our focus is towards the clean technology, looking at a contribution to the sustainable of the environment, domestic and globally.
The core viewer at home, the retail investor, they're trying to see value in this company, and I would like to stress that you do have a skin in the game. You are the founder of this company. You have brought this company to its levels right now, 2.4 billion ringgit worth of market capitalization, diversification to ensure that your risk is well mitigated. Then the question is on what next for your company. How do you position yourself and the company post-listing date? I mean, what is the plans going forward so that the retail investor can actually, see the core value of this company?
I pick up a very important words in your statement just now, Ibrahim, sustainability. So I would say that sustainability is the word that we are looking at, and the entire corporate strategy that we design is moving towards that direction. So mentioning that, we are looking at sector or scope of capabilities which can give us recurrent revenue to the company. So what does this mean? We are embarking onto this asset ownership and asset development. For example, like the compressed natural gas plant, which we have acquired certain equity of the stack. We develop it, and after that, it is up running, we maintain it. So all this will give us the recurrent revenue, especially when the plant is up running, you have the operation and maintenance contract running over the next 10 years. So this is the model that we are going to implement and go it in a big way.
The structure of the company is quite interesting as well. The listed company is Serba Dinamik Holdings Berhad, but within it you have wholly owned subsidiaries including Serba Dinamik Berhad and Serba Dinamik International Limited. How are the companies arranged within the holding companies, and what is the rationale in trying to make the divisions accordingly?
We operate within the regulations and the law that is permitted domestic and also internationally. Bottom line is we need to give the best returns to our equity stakeholder or the investor. So normally we structured the initial survey that Serba Dinamik Berhad is operating in the domestic market in Malaysia. Serba Dinamik International Limited has the offshore status. So we use that particular vehicle to do our investment and our penetration globally. So.
Right. What is your delivery of promises to the shareholders that are going to bet on this company and invest in this company going forward?
Yeah, I think one of the very serious commitment is we put in a dividend statements of at least 30% of profit after tax. So we are working towards that, and we strongly believe that we should be able to fulfill this commitment.
Datuk, thanks for joining me this evening. I have been speaking to Datuk Karim Abdullah, the Group CEO and founder of Serba Dinamik Berhad. Up next, we will take a short break, but Rizal Zulkapli joins me to discuss a little bit more on the sectoral outlook of the oil and gas sector. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Markets Today. We're still on the topic of oil and gas and engineering in particular after that interview with Serba Dinamik. What do you think it would be the macro outlook for the oil and gas sector?
Let's look at the rig count in America. Recently, Forbes reported that the rig count in America will increase from currently increase by 70 to 200 rigs moving forward in operations in America. So there is this concern that the Americans are treating this stabilizing oil price as a good signal, and therefore increasing the rig count in America. Also, on the other hand, if you look at Saudi Arabia investing a lot in America and also recently in Malaysia with the Pengerang integrated complex, right? That signals a growing confidence moving forward. And if you can't get a good signal from Saudi Arabia, then you can't get a good signal from anyone else in the market.
Speaking about taking signals from Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of issue on Saudi Arabia trying to urge non-OPEC members to join the OPEC cartel in extending that whole supply cut in July this year. Do you think that this will take place, even this rumor?
Well, if you look at the current OPEC members, right, even within the OPEC members itself, they are OPEC members who are not very happy with the cut. You look at Iraq, you look at Iran, these countries are really depending on the oil price or the oil exports to get money to develop the countries, because Iraq, they want to have that money, and Iran was recently taken off the sanction list, and now they want to produce more because I think they want to close the gap that they had for the past few years.
Yeah.
So if they want more members to join OPEC, what benefits will these members get? Because without joining OPEC, they can sort of, they can determine how much they want to export, how much they want to import, what prices are they looking at. So if they are joining, or if they want to join OPEC, then they'll be at the mercy of countries like Saudi Arabia, like Iran and Iraq.
They're going to be
players. Yeah. So I think small players will be more cautious to join OPEC and to see what benefits will be for them.
Also, let's tie this in locally, because the government has set a budget oil price of about $40 plus, and now it's stabilizing to above $50. This is unrealized gain for our budget. Do you think that with the elections looming in, do you think that this year's budget will see some significant changes in terms of how the government will prepare?
I think the government will be very, very cautious moving forward, despite the ringgit or $5 gains in oil prices. I think they'll be very, very cautious moving forward because, well, with the impending election, I think they're looking to maybe increase infrastructure spending but at the same time, they have to be cautious because that $5 increase maybe a temporary increase. If it stabilizes to $60, we may see more infrastructure spending moving forward because there is that a bigger gap, a $15 gap compared to before.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, unfortunately. Do send us your feedback on all our social media platform sites at 501 Awani and download our applications at Google Play and Apple App Store. I'm Ibrahim Sani.
I'm Rizal Zulkifli. Thank you for watching us.